Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, welcome to His Holiness Chandramauli Swami Maharaj's daily call. We are so happy to have you with us. Today, Maharaj will enlighten us on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, verse number 4. Thank you, Maharaj, for coming and blessing us with your association. The call is all yours now.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kaman Varsha Parjanya Sarvakama Dukamahi Shishikshu Sma Rajangavam Pasadova Satir Muda. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhisthira, the clouds showered all the water that people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities of man in profusion. Due to its fatty milk bag and cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing ground with milk. Srila Prabhupada's purport is enough. The basic principle of economic development of human society are food, grains, fruits, milk, minerals, clothing, wood, etc. One requires all of these items to fulfill the material needs of the body. Certainly one does not require flesh and fish or iron tools and machinery. During the regime of Maharaj Yudhisthira, all over the world, there were regulated rainfalls. Rainfalls are not in control of the human being. The heavenly king Indradeva is the control of the rain. He is servant of the Lord. When the Lord is obeyed by the king and the people under the king's administration, there are regulated rains from the horizon. And these rains are the causes of varieties of production of on the land. Not only do regulated rains help ample production of growing grains and fruit, or when they combine production of valuable stones and pearl. Grains and vegetables can sumptuously feed animals, and the cow delivers enough milk. There's enough milk, enough grains, enough fruit, enough cotton, enough silk, enough jewels. Then why do we need people? Why do people need cinemas, houses of prostitution, slaughterhouses, etc.? What is the need of an artificial, luxurious life of cinema, cars, radio, flesh, and hotels? Has this civilization produced anything but quarreling individually and nationally? Has this civilization enhanced the cause of equality and fraternity by sending thousands of men into the hellish factory and into the warfare with the whims of a particular man? It is said here that the cows used to moisten the pasturing land with milk because their milk bags were fatty and the animals were joint. They do not require, therefore, they not require, therefore, proper protection for a joyful life by being fed with sufficient quantity of grain in the field? Why should men kill cows for their selfish purposes? Why should man not be satisfied with grains, fruits, and milk which combine together to produce hundreds and thousands of palatable dishes? Why are there slaughterhouses all over the world for killing innocent animals? Maharaj Parikshit, grandson of Maharaj Yudhisthira, while touring his vast kingdom, saw a black man attempting to kill a cow. The king at once arrested the butcher and chastised him sufficiently. Should not a king or an executive head protect the lives of the poor animals who are unable to defend themselves? Is this humanity? Are not the animals the country's citizens also? Then why are they allowed to be butchered in organized slaughterhouses? Are these the signs of equality, fraternity, and nonviolence? Therefore, in contrast with the modern advanced civilization form of government, an autocracy like Maharaj Yudhisthira is by far superior the so-called democracy in which animals are killed, and a man less than an animal is allowed to cast votes for another less than an animal man. We are creatures of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it said that the Lord himself is the seed-giving father, and material nature is the mother of all the beings in all shapes. Thus, Mother Nature has enough foodstuffs both for animals and for men. By the grace of the Father Almighty, Sri Krishna, the human being is the elder brother of all the living beings. He is endowed with intelligence more powerful than animals, for realize the course of nature and the indications of the Almighty Father. Human civilization should depend on production of material nature without artificially attempting economic development, which turns the whole world into chaos of an artificial greed and power only for a purpose and artificial luxuries and sense gratification. This is but the life of dogs and hogs. Om Gyan Timidandasya Gyanajana Salakaya Chaksu Militamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Kachaline Nirase Sasunyavari Pastyatya Satarni Vanchakopa Derubhischa Viva Sindhu Ve Vachapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham Bija Prada Pita. I am the seed-giving father of all living entities. According to Shastras, according to the, I think Padma Purana, it mentions that there are 8,400,000 species of life. And they are aquatics, they are birds, they are reptiles, beasts, trees, insects, plants, and humans. So out of these 8,400,000 species of life, only 400,000 are of the human form of life. And only a few of those human forms are actually civilized. So Krishna says, all of these species of life, they're by part and parcel, not by the body, but by the soul. Wherever there is life, there is a soul. And whenever there is soul, that soul is part of the Supreme Soul. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahudam Vidadati Karman. Krishna is the source of everything material and spiritual. Our existence is coming from the Lord. He is the supreme eternal, and because we are part of him, we are also eternal, but we are in a minute form. And that includes all living entities. Karanam Guna Sango So Sadaso Janma Mishu. Just because a person, a living entity has a body lower than human being doesn't mean that that is not very dear to Krishna. Krishna doesn't see the body. He sees the body, but he sees that in that body is my part and parcel. Therefore, he has a natural caring relationship for every living entity. And therefore, there is a laws of material nature by which one can live. And one of the laws is that one should not impose oneself for one's own selfish motivation in causing distress and suffering to other living beings. So our present developed modern civilization, which has very nice cars and airplanes and various types of technological equipment to facilitate communications in so many ways, is still and hasn't reached the human form of life yet, because the civilization, as it says here, is pretty much based on exploitation. In the animal kingdom, you'll see sometimes like the tiger, the animals in the jungle are food for the tiger, but that's the natural arrangement of God, jiva jiva sajivanam. But for the human beings, the food has already been given. Grains, fruits, milk products, legumes, vegetables, like that. These are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 17th chapter. Krishna explains food for the human society. It doesn't talk about flesh or fish or even other types of foodstuffs that are not in the category of the mode of goodness. And so we should take our quota and therefore allow, they say, live and let live. But in our modern civilization, we have leaders who are so-called leaders. They simply take advantage of people's position to exploit them, get whatever they can from them for their own selfish interests. And the poor animals are suffering like crazy. The slaughterhouses are filled with animals all around the world every day being killed. And then they want peace. People talk about peace. People talk about, having a nice fraternal attitude towards life. But what about the animals? What about the other living entities that we exploit? The fish and many others. So we live outside of nature's rule because the human life has developed intelligence. So that's a misuse of that intelligence. And when it's when one sees oneself as the center, then whatever one does is causing harm to other. And so we see the society as it is today. We have, as it's explained here, this purport was written about 50 years ago. So it's like now these things have been exasperated, they have been enhanced, they have been increased, and when we say extravaganzically, in other words, to phenomenal proportions, because there is no God consciousness, there is no civility, there is no morality, there is just the strong trying to exploit the weak. Therefore, the society is upside down. And therefore, Mother Nature, who is God's agent to supply the living entities whatever they need, she withholds. There is shortages when people are sinful. She withholds or punishes those who perpetrate materialistic, political, economic, and social programs based on the exploitation of living entities. And that is not only for lower living entities, even the human forms are being exploited by the leaders to try to squeeze out as much money as they can or to control people to get them to do whatever they want. There's a very small class of people who run the world. They say it's the Sangha of 300 big, powerful people whose names you don't even know. This is mentioned in some obscure articles. You can find them in different places. Pretty much who they are. They're called the elite, or that's a better, what's the name? Better name for them. They think that they are the God chosen people to control the world, but they don't work on behalf of God. They work on behalf of their own greedy and selfish interests. So they've made a pact amongst themselves, and they control all corporations. They control all governments. Governments are not independent of these people because they have all of the power in terms of the economic power. Because nowadays, Political power is subordinate to economic power. Although political power is supposed to be controlling economic power, it's the other way around. So if a person is filthy rich, or very rich, they get themselves in different powerful positions within the society and use their influence to make their own policies. And that is going on. And they're very strategic. The word is duskritina. Kritina means meritorious. There's two words, sukritina and duskritina. Su means very good intelligence, or one whose intelligence is very meritorious in a good way. In other words, it works for the benefit of oneself and others. But there's another word, duskritina, means good intelligence, but misdirected for wrong ideas. And so there's a class of men who have that power, and they are very intelligent, materially intelligent, much more than we can imagine. They're very crafty, very manipulative, and very powerful in controlling people's minds through the media and various things. And they have destroyed the whole civilization. And therefore, people are suffering. So their whole program is to advance the whole process of technology and control people through technology, and at the same time exploit as much resources from the earth as they can possibly get. It's like now, if you want to buy gold, you can't buy gold. Just the price of gold is over $1,000 an ounce, much more than that actually. The silver market is shut down. That's been bought up by all of these rich people. So there's a small handful of men who control different policies all around the world. And they start wars, and they support both sides of the war at the same time for economic advantages in both areas. And they're very, very intelligent, material, but they're demons. And to put it really, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, such persons are of the demoniac nature. They think so much wealth I have today and so much mine will be mine tomorrow. He is my enemy and I have killed him, and my other enemy will also be killed. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I'm surrounded by aristocratic relatives. I shall give in charity. I shall rejoice. These are the statements spoken by Krishna about the nature of the demons. And they are very much prominent in today. So we wonder why there's so many problems in the world. And Prabhupada has also explained that because of this demoniac class of men who run the world, they exploit people, and therefore nothing goes on properly. It's all centered around money, power. And they're also indoctrinating other people to be like them and to accept that their proposals are actually the way life should be lived for one's personal advantage. But here we see what is in the basic principles of life is quite simple. What do we need? Land. Land is equity. Land is valuable. What we need? Cows. Sometimes devotees don't know much about cows. We don't know the value of a cow. Just having a cow means and taking care of that cow nicely, you are gaining auspiciousness in your life just by caring for the cow, giving her a place to graze, a place to live, and using her products for the betterment of mankind, such as cow dung for fertilizing, cow dung for heating, cow dung for medicine, cow urine also for these same things, also for rejuvenation. The cow is such a meritorious animal that it's considered to be, the Manav Samhita says, if one kills a cow, It's equal to the sin of killing 2 men, not 1. So we think these things are eulogies or some old-fashioned ideas that came with a more agrarian type of civilization. But actually, when you see it, it's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam that if you want to have a human civilization, 3 points must be there. The first point is cow care, cow protection. The second is Brahminical culture, living according to the rules and regulations of the mode of goodness and being guided by the priestly class. And the third is God consciousness or Krishna consciousness, worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These 3 things make up a perfect society. So the cows are being killed. There is no Brahmin leaders. Now you have Sudras and less in the field. People who will take the position of government. They're so illiterate and so foolish. They can't make policies. If they do make policies, they make it for the rich. Just like this one lady got elected in the UK. I forgot her name. And she stayed in power for 45 days. This was just recent. And somehow or other, she was exposed that she was giving all kinds of concessions to the rich and, pulling money from other areas in order to do that. And so she was exposed. And so fortunately, there was some good people there who was able to expose her. And she lasted in power 44 days. They threw her out. And so, others last longer. And ultimately, once they get into office and then they get out, we never hear of them again. They just drift into the background, and because their rule is all based on greed and exploitation. So this is what we have. This is Kali Yuga. If you read the 12th canto, we just did 2 chapters in the 12th canto. In our lessons here, we find that this is the nature of the leadership in Kali Yuga. It's demoniac, and therefore nobody's happy. Just like around the world now, I was heading one of the seminars here in the ISKCON Leadership Sangha, and devotees were saying at least 10 to 15 governments around the world are collapsing right now. The whole economic system is collapsing all over the world. And so it'll continue to collapse. As Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada was not just a person who came to do a spiritual movement. He was a prophet. He was a visionary. He was an empowered incarnation of the Lord. He was Shaktavesh incarnation, powered by the Lord. And he spoke a lot about what will happen in the future. So for everything he said so far has happened. And one thing he did say was, and this is in my new book, and you can read it if you get a chance. It's called Krishna's Ways, Natural Living. In that book, there is a QR code. In that QR code, you can put your phone in there, and then you'll hear Srila Prabhupada speak. And in that, it's about a 5-minute talk. It's a video. He'll explain that this whole Western civilization is artificially going on by the money principle. If you have money, you can get things done. If you have money, you can cover all of your mistakes. If you have money, you can control. So this is the idea, money. But money is a false foundation. It can't last. It usurps morality, it usurps culture, it usurps human goodness. All of that is being destroyed by the money culture. And therefore, Prabhupada's conclusion was that this society will collapse very soon. It's already collapsing, according to Srila Prabhupada's statement, which he made 50 years ago. So what we have, and Prabhupada said, this is how we live. This verse, the next verse, and the next verse after is how we're supposed to live. living off the land, not big factory farms that exploit the land and then sell back the food at exorbitant prices where people can't afford it. And at the same time, destroy the land with all kinds of pesticides and fertilizers in order to rape the land. And after they destroy that soil in that place, they go to another place and do the same thing. So this is, therefore, as you see, especially in our ISKCON society, there is a large upsurge on an individual level, even on a few levels there of going back to the land. Cows, agriculture, simple living, and getting away from the craziness of modern civilization, which is simply polluting the environment, but so much pollution, air pollution, water pollution, food pollution, noise pollution, pollution of the mind simply by the stress that people are going through. So we should look to the future in a very realistic way and think, well, how long can I last in this Western culture? Maybe Srila Prabhupada, what he said is actually quite revolutionary, but it's actually, and he explains it very nicely in this birth form. Because if you live close to God and you follow the laws of nature, Krishna provides everything. You don't need to work so hard. Everything is provided with a little effort, that's all. And when you work together with others who are doing the same thing, it becomes easy. And then you can not only worship together, but you can live in a very simplified, you don't have to work hard. There is a statement, not in the Shastras, but it's more of a moral statement, which says that 3 things bring about happiness to the human society. 1, and 3 things that if you can do these 3 things, you can be happy. It's kind of an idea, but it has a lot of validity. And what are those 3 things? 1, if you don't have to travel in order to earn your employment. 2, if you don't have any debts. And 3, if you can eat regularly home-cooked food. So these are basic, simple things that are being usurped. Now people they run to work, they work hard all day, they run into a restaurant, and they have so many problems, diabetes, this problem, that problem. The stress problem is exasperated.
Maharaj, what is these 3 things you said? I mean, it is for what?
This is human culture, human goodness.
Okay.
It's how people can avoid the stress of life. 1, you don't have to travel to work in order to get your livelihood. 2, you don't have any debts. People have big debts with houses, mortgages, various insurance debts, this debt, that debt, and borrowing money here. The banks own everything. And then you can't pay it, they foreclose, they take your house and resell it again and make more money. And you're out of the house. No debts, don't have to travel, and you could eat home-cooked food, which is much more healthier than eating in restaurants. Prabhupada said, if you want to be healthy, cook your own food. If you cook for yourself, you're guaranteed pretty much good health because you put your own energy into the cooking and it comes back out into the food. And then when it's offered to Krishna, it becomes really what we say healthy prasadam, very nice prasadam. But because we live this life of running to work and trying to make money and we have so many things that we have to do in order to live, we have no time to take care of ourselves. And therefore, people are sick, people are in anxiety, so many problems. So here's the solution. What Prabhupada has given right there. Okay, so we'll stop there. So we have about maybe 30 to 35 minutes for questions.
What a wonderful description, Maharaj, of how civilization is collapsing, what is going on in the world today, and how we need to take heed of Srila Prabhupada's instructions. Dear devotees, I can see Shilpesh Prabhu is ready with a question. Fire away.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I want to start these demonic personalities who are sort of controlling the world. Why were they given a human birth?
Well, some of them are coming from other planets. They're actually demons. You know, what you see as the cosmological arrangement of the planetary systems is not what it actually is. Right above the Earth, there is a series of planets where pious beings live. And right below the Earth, there's a series of planets where impious beings being. So as the karma of a particular country moves in one direction, I'm saying not country, but planet. In other words, as things shift from piety to impiety, more people, more living entities from lower planets take birth on that planet. And the Bhagavatam explains that very clearly. It says that when the mode of goodness is prominent, note the wording, that when the mode of goodness is prominent, the demigods and the sages are in control. Demigods, devas, the representatives of the Lord. When the mode of passion is prominent, the demons are supreme, they're in control. Control means that the policies that they dictate are of that nature. And when the mode of ignorance is prominent, then you have yakshas and rakshasas, man-eating beings. So it's all there in the Bhagavatam. There's a whole series, types of living beings, both godly and ungodly. There's a whole listings. You can read about it. And the planets they're up around the Earth, some above the Earth and some below the Earth. So as this Earth becomes more, the collective karma of the Earth starts to shift, it moves in the direction, and then souls take birth according to that karma. So now, yeah, you have so many natural disasters and calamities. This is the Earth reacting to sinful activities. And it also indicates that when there is a major natural calamity, then big demons are appearing in the world. So there's two classes of people. That's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. There's devas and there's asuras. Asura is it's not somebody becomes an asura. These are people with demoniac natures. They're born on certain planets. And now they're taking birth in the Earth planet also.
And am I correct in thinking our answer to this is Krishna consciousness, become more Krishna conscious?
The only answer. Yeah, the only answer. That's the only answer. Spread the Sankirtan movement. This is the answer to stem the tide of the demoniac. Why did the sages of Naimisharanya held their conference at Naimisharanya? It's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, because Naimisharanya is the center of the universe. And therefore it says that any sacrifices that are performed in Naimisharanya curtails or diminishes the power of the demons. That's one of the reasons why they chose that. That's mentioned right in the very first canto in the Bhagavad. So Devasura, Prabhupada would say, there is a constant struggle, battle between these two classes of living entities, godly and the ungodly. And the Krishna conscious movement is the solution for destroying the demoniac influence. There's no other solution. People can't come up to the mode of goodness anymore. The demons have controlled people's minds so badly that they accept immorality as morality. One of Kali Yuga's principles of destroying and controlling people is to redefine morality, or to upsert morality where there is no morality anymore. When there's no morality, then people don't know what to do or how to act. And then they can just do whatever they want. So, yeah. You can see it. In many countries, the whole marriageable system is shut. There are marriages, man-to-man marriages, women-to-women marriages. Where is that in the Shastras? And this is the whole redefining of what is actually moral. So when you can make immorality morality, and people get confused, and then you say, well, you're an individual, you can choose. You have a right to direct your own life. So therefore, no one should tell you what to do. So if you listen to the news and you listen to the television, you become very much affected by this consciousness. Don't listen to the news. Don't listen to the television. It's all propaganda. It's all lies. It's all meant to control the population. John F. Kennedy Jr. just came out with a very strong, powerful statement. He was the son of the written John F. Kennedy. He said, if the demons, they're simply trying to control, that's all. He said, it's not about killing people, it's about controlling people. So you'll see, they control through economics, they control through entertainment, they control through the news industry, they control through the health industry, they control even through the political industry. All of these are also points of control for demoniac propaganda. But you can't recognize it at first because it comes on very subtly. And then when they capture you, they get you in a certain mindset, then they give you the answer of what you should do. Very, very insidious. It's psychological brainwashing. If you want to be free from brainwashing, throw away your television.
Our TV broke, Maharaj, and buying a new TV, we made that space old.
Yeah. So, and Prabhupada, he gave the lifestyle. He said the cities will collapse, and they're already collapsing. It's not like you have to read the news to find out. People will tell you, And you might think, well, it'll get better. But you see, the policy of the demons is very, very crafty. They put pressure on people up to a certain point, then they take the pressure off and give them a little bit relief. And then when they give them a little relief, they give them some more alternatives, and then they put the pressure back on again. So they know how to put it on and take it off so people don't revolt. If you exploit it too much, they'll organize and revolt against you.
This is called intermittent reinforcement.
Yeah, they push you up to a certain point and they pull back, and then they push and they pull back. See, communism didn't work because it was too oppressive. So that's why they collapsed the communistic society, because it was too oppressive. But they came up with another principle of control. And that is to give people as much sense gratification as they could possibly handle. And then, destroy the whole idea of morality. And then through that, dictate policies of control, which is centered around economic gain and sense gratification. So Krishna consciousness means independent thinking, depending on simply on the mercy of the Lord coming through the Lord's representative, the spiritual master. God has given us the formula how to live. He's not just a spiritual being, because everything that is in existence is his energy. So he's teaching us through his devotees how to live free from the influence of the material energy. But as long as we buy into the material energy, we have to buy into the policies they dictate also. So simple living, it's healthy living. Simple living is healthy living. Those who are very extravagant in their living, they don't live very long. Simple living means growing your own food. The whole cow culture is not something extraneous to human society. It's actually part of human society. The cows were meant to be with the humans and to provide the humans whatever they needed to live. And then at the same time, they are also worshipped because the cow is actually the embodiment of all the demigods. The cow dung is Lakshmi. It says Lakshmi resides in cow dung. Cow dung and cow urine is used to bathe the deities in various types of abhishek programs. It's called Panchagavya. So the cow, we don't really know how valuable cows are, how sacred cows are. It's not that we made the cow sacred. The cow is sacred. It's God's gift to the human society. And cow is also considered one of our mothers. So to take care of your mother is the duty of the grown-up children. Instead of taking care of the mother, we're just raping the mother for whatever she can give and then killing her when she can't give it anymore. And that's called, human society. And that's not, therefore, this society is no better than barbarians. It's a barbarian society. People dress nicely, they have a nice car, they have, but it's not, people are all bad. People are not bad, but they're being misled by this class of people that are exploiting it. And then being misled, they also become like that. Or they undergo so much stress. The hospitals are full of patients. They can't even keep up with the patients. So much sicknesses. It's incredible. Why? Why are there so much sicknesses? Disease is there. You can't stop disease. But it's rampant everywhere. Because, as it says in the Bhagavatam, because people don't know how to live properly, they don't follow any rules and regulations as far as livelihood and regulations. And therefore, they bring about all kinds of distress, mental and physical problems. I'm not saying we shouldn't have cities, but the cities should be run not for economic adventures, but in order to produce and to facilitate people's needs. But it's not like that. People are being exploited for a small group of people on the top. And they're being kept in abeyance by all kinds of sense gratification. I came across one article by an Italian Marxist many years ago. And he explained that
We've lost you, Maharaj.
Guru Maharaj, we lost you.
then control them through the media. All right, so my book has just come out. Take a look at it. It's called Krishna's Way, Natural Living. Beautiful cover. And it explains, of course, these verses that we're speaking of, the first one, and a few others are actually the basis of where the book begins and starts to expand in different areas based on these verses. And there's a lot of statements by Srila Prabhupada. So we have to know that Krishna consciousness is not only the spiritual way, but it's also the way of natural living.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sarat Mataji?
Hare Krishna, please forgive me that I don't have camera on. You mentioned, it mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that Prabhupada, in Prabhupada's purport about milk and so on, and he says that it's okay. But now I know, I have learned you about that the milk is not really healthy because of they forcefully milk the cow and so on. It will be poisonous. But in my understanding and learning, there are not enough bhakti farm all over. So there are none in as I know. There is one, but it's not really bhakti farm. But still in the spiritual center, still they do food with milk and cheese and yogurt. So what I have asked someone, and they say that when you offer, because it's prasada, then it purifies. Is that true?
You can't, exploit the cow, take her milk, and then offer it and say that's going to be accepted by Krishna.
So that is not right. That is not good prasada.
No,
right?
it's blood milk. That's all it is.
Then it's not prasada.
No, you think Krishna is going to accept that?
Oh.
Vishwadika, my god sister, she just put out a book called Bhakti Milk. We distributed it. And the ILS meetings that just finished about a few days ago. Everything is explained. Yeah, Bhakti Milk.
Yes, I have read that. I know I have it. And I have read it.
So our society has made a resolution by the year 2022, which was last year on Janmashtami. Every temple should have a program by which we can get milk from our own farms. So we're behind in that. We're not up to the standard yet. There are places that are doing it, and there's other places that are not. So yeah, that's been discussed. So I only take milk from our own farms, or else I won't take it at all. So it depends where you live, you can get it.
I live in Sweden, so Gothenburg.
I think they have a farm there, don't they? They have cows.
There is one in Stockholm, but they don't have enough milk production to give to other cities in Sweden. And there is another one, mini farm, Bhakti farm, but there is something happening there that there will be no farm there at all soon. So unfortunately, there is
Yeah.
not enough
Yeah, we're so the idea is get on board, understand what is the standard, and live according to that standard. Read the book on Bhakti milk. You'll see statements by a lot of senior devotees about how they respond to the situation. Don't support, because if you support materialistic dairies, you're supporting cow slaughter. Because they take the cow, they work it for 5 years when she can't give any more milk, and then they sell it to the slaughterhouse after that. So that's what they do with their cows. They squeeze them to death and then they send them to the slaughterhouse. So if we take milk from these cows that are being mistreated, we're going to get a reaction for that.
I have two mini questions about your books, Krishna Way. That is not available on Amazon or anywhere else, right? How can I purchase that?
It's just been released.
In Amazon?
No, we just got it just about a week ago. So I have all the hard copies. We have to set up a program for distribution right now.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm trying to think how we have to do that. We'll be taking some of the books to the United States for the disciples meeting, and then a lot of the books are in the UK. So I think if we will. There's a devotee in the UK, his name is Dinanath Gauranga. He stocks and distributes my present books, and then we'll add that book to the series. So if you contact Dinanath Gauranga and ask him for a copy, then he'll probably send you one.
I will do it. Thank you. My next question is really too about the Krishna's, when I read it today in Srimad Bhagavatam and in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that when you listen to Krishna's playing flute, that is very good for the soul and so on. And I have heard so many in different sites that they say the name of that flute is Krishna's flute. Is it the same or no? It's not the same.
What's the same? What do you mean the same? Same as what?
Is it really that if I listen to that flute music, Krishna flute music? No, it's not the same.
If you heard Krishna's flute, you wouldn't be in the material world anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have to go. So thank you very much, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Thank you very much for today's class.
Thank you. My obeisance to Vanchakalpa Vaja, Sindhu Vaja, Patitanam, Parvane Yo, Vaishnava Yo Namaho, Lord Bhakta Bindu Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Shri
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you all dear devotees for patiently listening.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for today.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.